Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to another episode of Way of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we will discuss playing a Spyrer Hunting Party in Necromunda Aranthian Succession. So we'll be making a 2,000 point roster, actually 2,400 point roster including vehicles, that you can use in your very first campaign of the Necromunda Aranthian Succession. We'll discuss the strengths and weaknesses of playing this gang as well as its fighters, its playstyle, and provide our starting rosters that you can use in your very first campaign. Now, because this video will be more of a little bit more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that way you can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most. So that being said, let's go and talk about playing Spyrer Hunter Party in the Aranthian Succession. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about the strengths of playing a Spyrer Hunter Party. They are perhaps one of the best one-on-one fighters in the game. They have really good weapons and ballista skill. They got pretty decent strength and toughness. They have very powerful weapons as well as really good armor as well. There's also a pretty good balance between shooting as well as close combat attacks with this gang as well, so it makes them pretty, advanced that way. They're also pretty survivable as well. Their armor does a lot of good to help them out. A lot of these hunting rigs also have field armor saves as well, so you have ward saves that makes them kind of help them out. Plus their weapons and equipment also levels up with the number of kills that you get as well. And at the same time, they also have some really interesting game mechanics like hunting rig glitches, where instead of suffering lasting injuries, their suits kind of, bug out and have some glitches that you got to worry about that kind of hinder your ability to do fighting and things of that nature. Now, obviously, there's also some very significant weaknesses for a Spyrer Hunter gang, and first of all, they're always going to be outnumbered, and you're always going to be outgunned as well. So Spyrer Hunter teams are very, very small because you only have like a handful of these guys, maybe 5-6 guys at the most at any one time, and the reason why is because they're so expensive. Now, while their characteristics and their stats are really great, and same thing with their abilities, that's really about it though. When it comes to like shooting and stuff like that and also powerful weapons, they really don't have a lot of access to a lot of powerful high strength weapons. So things like plasma guns, for example, heavy stubbers, missile launchers, grenade launchers, things of that nature, right? Flamers, those kind of things. So because of those kind of weapons are no longer available for a Spyrer Hunter gang, they primarily have to rely upon really good close combat attacks for most of their stuff, so they're pretty much up in your face in the most time. And so that's one of the weaknesses of a Spyrer Hunter gang. At the same time, you can only make purchases during the downtime phases of a campaign. So even though you may generate credits in a campaign, keeping credits from territories means nothing to you, so you don't really get anything that way. Same thing with any credits you might win from scenarios. You can't really build up wealth in your gang, and the only time you can actually make purchases for your gang is during the down phase. So whatever campaign you're playing at, especially with the Aranthian Succession, 250 credits, that's it. That's all you're going to get in order to increase your gang later on. So you have to be really careful about what you spend your credits on when you're able to, and kind of outfit your gang to kind of survive the best way they can possibly can. That's one of the problems that you run into. But perhaps the greatest weakness of actually playing an Aranthian Succession has nothing to do with gameplay. It has nothing to do with the miniatures. It does nothing with anything that would normally deal with a gang. What you have to worry about is the balance bandwagon. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of players out there who are going to be really immature about the way that the Spyrer Hunters are kitted out and the way you can do things with them. They're going to complain. They're going to do all kinds of stuff, blaming all their issues on you and you playing a Spyrer Hunter gang, and they're going to put all their insecurities on you. So that's something you do have to worry about. People are going to cry out that they're overpowered and all that kind of stuff, when in fact it's just a skill issue from your opponents. All it really is. So because of that, do beware of the balance bandwagon. You got to hear a lot of whining and complaining when you play Spyrer Hunters. So just be aware that's going to be something you have to deal with. Now, when it comes to the individual fighters, of course, it kind of depends on what you basically have your gang kitted out with. When it comes to your Spyrer Hunter Master, their abilities kind of depends on what kind of upgrades you get to them, what kind of weapons and equipment you give to your Spyrer Hunter Master, and that's going to determine what they can really do. In my opinion, I believe that the best way to equip these guys is to give them things like a really good close combat weapon, at the same time a really good shooting attack. So they kind of balance, they can do both of those things. As for your Aurus, however, your Aurus is a dedicated wrecking ball. This guy should be up in your opponent's faces, taking the fight to them every single time, and just engaging people with its powerful shooting attacks, as well as its close combat attacks. Unfortunately, because the Aurus is so good, it's also the most expensive of the hunters, so do be careful about that. Now, your Yeld, on the other hand, that guy's the one with the wings. He flies around, he basically does your shooting. This guy's going to be doing all the long-range shooting with your gang. His missile gauntlets, as well as his laser gauntlets, can really reach out across the tabletop and hit your people, hit your enemies. So because you want to make this guy kind of like your sniper, have him him go around areas and up in the higher levels of the battlefield and raining death from above by shooting down upon your opponents with that character. Now, as for your Jakara character, your Jakara Hunter is more like your high-value target assassin. So send this guy after gang leaders, gang champions, characters that have really powerful weapons that you want to take off the battlefield. That's what the Jakara character does best, because one-on-one they're extremely deadly. And eventually you also have your Malcadon fighter. Now your Malcadon fighter is kind of like a guy who's kind of good to use for like vertical type of battlefields. He can transition very quickly, going up and down on a three-dimensional battlefield. And he's also the only character that also has silent traits for his weapon, so he's going to be more like your stealth fighter. So you want this guy to kind of drop in on enemies using stealth to take out your enemies and ambushing them. And that's pretty much how you're going to want to use your different hunting rigs in your gang. Now, when it comes to the play style of this gang, you want to play smarter, not harder, okay? The reason why is because you don't have the numbers, you don't have the staying power in order to do what most gangs do. For example, if you're playing a House Goliath gang, you just kind of charge forward and smash your opponent and wreck face until eventually, you know, you either win the battle report or you get destroyed. For your Spyre Hunters, though, that's not going to be able to do that for you, and the reason why is because you have to basically kind of pick and choose your fights. You got to basically move around the battlefield as quick as you can, try to mitigate being outnumbered, and try to strike really quick and then, you know, kind of exfiltrating out so that way you don't actually get hit all that much. Think of playing like the Predator from the Predator films, okay? The idea is that the Predator is extremely powerful, but the Predator doesn't just rush in headlong and starts fighting people in those films. No, the Predator stalks its prey, it strikes when the opportunity allows it to, and it slips away and escapes before anybody can do anything about it. So it's going to require you to do some elite playing with your tactics. You got to kind of pick and choose your fights as you go through the battlefield. You got to do a lot of running, unfortunately, and try to escaping and then striking when you can, and then evading when you're actually done taking out your opponents. So you got to kind of be a little bit more strategic in the way you do things with your tactical gameplay versus just mobbing up on your enemies and just kind of sweeping around them. In my opinion, the best way to actually destroy your enemies by playing a Spyrer Hunting Party is to fully envelop your enemies and surrounding them. A lot of your fighters have access to infiltrate, so I suggest you give about half your team the infiltrate ability, so that way they can kind of snoop in from one exposed flank and you can get them from another side. So even though you're outnumbered, it doesn't matter because you have key positions surrounding your enemies and you can kind of close a circle around them and just kind of eliminate them that way. And that's the best way I would actually use this gang in order to destroy your enemies. So now that we're done talking about exactly the playstyle for this gang, let's talk about your starting roster. This is going to be your Spyrer Hunting Party starting roster for Necromunda Aranthian Succession for 2024. It's going to be rated at 2,400 credits. You're spending 2,000 credits on your Spyre Hunters as well as 400 credits on vehicles, just so that way if you want to play in the Ash Waste, you're able to do so. So that being said, let's go on and talk about your fighters. And I'm doing my video a little bit differently this time. I'm actually giving names to fighters. That way, if you're kind of confused what to name your characters, maybe you could use what I have. So one of the characters could be is Gallius Kage-Catallus. He is a Spyre Hunt Master. He's going to cost you 355 credits. This is going to be the leader of your game. They got a Sovereign Hunting Rig that's going to be leveled to level 1. My suggestion to you is to actually get that up for their field armor. So when they end up having is a 4-up armor, 5-up armor save, as well as a 5-up field armor save. So they have like 2 sets of saves, which are great. Now we're going to give this guy the Yeld Missile Gauntlet, so that way you can actually open fire with strength 4 shooting attacks at 30 inches, as well as a Malcadon Toxin Whip, so that way you have versatile trait attacks. And the reason why we're doing this is for a couple of reasons. The Malcadon weaponry actually gives you the most equipment to use for your fighter. It gives you a pair of web incisors, which of course are a silent pistol weapon that has a web trait, really powerful. It's also got a grapnel launcher, so that way you can travel 12 inches in any direction with a single movement, so that's really powerful there. You also have a drop rig, so that way you can descend from any area as well as quickly as possible, so that way you can kind of move around the battlefield very quickly. We're giving this fighter photo goggles so that way they can see in all visibility conditions, and we're giving this character the Respirator as well, so that way you have to worry about gas and toxin attacks, which are really horrible for multi-wound characters. That's going to help you kind of survive against those kind of things as well. And of course, this character also comes with Reflex enhancers, Masters of the Hunt, kill count, as well as Spyre Hunting Rig glitches, special rules attached to it. The skill that we're going to give this character is we're going to pick the Iron Will skill from the leadership skill tree, and the reason why is because you only got a handful of fighters in this gang. In fact, you only have 6 fighters in this gang, so the moment you lose one, you have to take a d6 roll, and you could start losing, battle reports that way with battle tests. So by using Iron Will, we kind of give you a little bit of a buffer, so that way you don't have to worry about battle tests all that often. This gang will also feature 2 Oris Spyre Hunters as well, because you have 2,000 credits to make this group. The first one is Gravaway Van Grime is his name. He is an Oris hunting rig. He's got paired power talons as well as twin bolt launchers as well as photo goggles that we can see in all visibility conditions. The power talons come stock on the fighter, which is extremely powerful close combat weapon just by itself. You don't really necessarily need to get the power fist too much. The talons are pretty much good to deal with anything really. You also got twin bolt launchers, which are also rapid fire strength 4 shooting attacks, which are all kinds of fantastic as well. This guy's also got Respirator, so that way they can also have to worry about gas and toxic trait attacks, and they automatically come with the reflex enhancers, master of the hunt, kill count, as well as Spyrer Hunting rig glitches as well. We're giving this guy the gunfighter ability, so that way they can open fire with both of their twin bolt launchers without suffering a -1 hit penalty as well. And that's going to make up Gravaway Van Grime. And once again, you have a second Oris Spyre Hunter. This is Rarn Kaladar, or Kaladar Ranlo. That's the name of this character. It costs also 400 credits as well. Equipped exactly the same as the previous Oris Hunter. These guys are expensive already as they are. So upgrading them with better weapons and equipment, so better weapons for their melee weapons as well as their shooting attacks is not really all that necessary. You could actually upgrade your weapons later on if you want to during the downtime phase, but I was kind of going more with the numbers in this group rather than the elite nature of their equipment, because their equipment's pretty good already as it is. The photo goggles are good for seeing all visibility conditions. The Respirator is going to help you out with gas and toxin trait attacks as well. It automatically comes with the reflex enhancers, master of the hunt, kill count, as well as Spyre Hunting rig glitches special rules. And we're giving this character the fast shot skill from the shooting skill tree, so that way they can fire up to 4 times with their twin bolt launchers, which would be extremely powerful for you to use. The fourth member of your Spyrer Hunting Party is going to be Korea Amir Ulanti. She is a Yeld Spyre Hunter. It's going to cost 255 credits. She's got a Yeld hunting rig as well as paired Yeld missile gauntlets. And the reason why we decided to go with the missile gauntlets is that because they're already strength 4 already, but the reason why is because when you fully upgrade these things, they have a 3-inch blast template. So it kind of acts as a grenade launcher. It's a little bit more powerful than the actual regular laser gauntlets. Don't get me wrong, the laser gauntlets are great because you can upgrade them to strength 4, which makes them kind of on par to hot shot last packs for your last guns, but that blast template is what we're really going to try to aim for with those missile gauntlets. It's also got Yeld wings, so that way you can use it in close combat as well, and also have to use those Yeld wings to kind of protect itself from being shot at, so long as it doesn't move. Now we're equipping this guy with photo goggles as well as so that way you can see in all visibility conditions, so that way you can shoot in all visibility conditions with those missile gauntlets. Now we're not giving this character a Respirator because unfortunately we just didn't have enough credits to get this guy a Respirator as well, but because this guy would pretty much be far away up in the upper levels of the battlefield, him having to suffer from gas as well as tox attacks is not as much of a threat as your more frontline fighters. However, as soon as possible though, do get this guy Respirator whenever you can. Now this fighter does have the reflex enhancers, masters of the hunt, as well as kill count and Spyre Hunting rig glitches for special rules, so he automatically comes with that. And we're going to give this character the Overwatch skill from the cunning skill tree, so that way you can interrupt enemy activations with your missile gauntlets. Like I said, this guy could be all about shooting at long ranges, so entering enemy activations with a missile gauntlet is like just ultimate fun, and also messes with your enemy a lot. Now the fifth member of your gang is Regimi Santai. This is your Jakara Spyre Hunter. It's going to cost you 300 credits. This character's got the Jakara hunting rig as well as a mirror shield, which makes it really great kind of short range shooting attack. It's also got a Naga blade as well, so that we have a versatile attack with your close combat weapons. It's also got photo goggles to see in all visibility conditions, as well as a Respirator, so that way they can not worry about gas and toxic attacks. It does automatically come with the reflex enhancers, master of the hunt, kill count, as well as Spyre Hunting rig glitches special rule. And we're giving this fighter the infiltrate skill from the cunning skill tree, so that way you can drop this character behind enemy lines potentially, or with an exposed flank. What you want to do with Regimi Santai is actually send her to actually go after your high value targets, so gang leaders, gang champions, fighters that got really impressive weapons, or like a target is for like a specific objective for a scenario, stuff like that. So send this character to go do that, because Jakar are great on one-on-one assassinations, and you want to use Regimi Santai in order to do that. And finally, the last Spyre that you're going to have in your team is Feril Dyne Co-Iron, which is a Malcadon Spyre Hunter. It's going to cost 290 credits. We got a Malcadon Spyre Hunting rig, as well as paired Malcadon Slashing Claws with pair weapon incisors, drop rig, grapnel launcher, and that way you can use those great slashing claws in order to attack your enemies. You could also travel vertically up and down very quickly, and plus you got that web pistol that you basically have as a silent trait, which makes this character very stealthy and great to use in stealth missions. Now we're giving this character photo goggles as well as Respirator, so that way they can see in all visibility conditions and also have to worry about gas and toxin attacks. This character automatically comes with reflex enhancers, master of the hunt, kill count, as well as Spyre Hunting rig glitches special rule. And then we're going to give this character the infiltrate skill from the cunning skill tree, so that way this guy could also pop up on an exposed flank or behind enemy lines, so that way you can take out your enemies that way. So you want to use your Malcadon Spyre Hunter as well as your Jakara and kind of have them work together to take enemies out of action, so that way you kind of enveloping your enemies. The idea is you want to get them in a pincer attack with the infiltrators coming in from behind, with the Auras guys taking point with your Huntmaster, so that way you can just kind of wreck face and destroy people. And because you're doing this for the Aranthian Succession, you do get 400 credits for your vehicle. So this is going to be a guy named Castiel, the Oarsman. He's going to be a scum race who's going to cost you 400 credits. We're giving this guy photo goggles, so that we can see all visibility condition, as well as a custom rig vehicle, so that way you can haul around your Spyre Hunters across the battlefield. It's going to be tracked locomotion, so that way you can deal with difficult terrain, as well as a crash cage to protect your Spyre Hunters while they're driving in the vehicle. It's got escape hatches, as well as a redundant drive system and engine shell to protect those components on your vehicle. It's also got a grenade launcher with frag and crack grenades, so that way you can open fire with that as well. So that's going to be the main vehicle for your gang, and this is what you're going to use to kind of zip around the battlefield until you deploy your Spyre Hunters. Alright, so for campaign development, you want to save your credits for down phases to recruit new Spyre Hunters to your gang if you want to. In my opinion, if you want to be able to spend your credits during the down phase, I think a Yeld is probably the most useful, in my opinion. And the reason why is because that way you get some more long-range shooting in your gang. Your Auras Spyre Hunters are going to be great at fighting in the medium to close range with their close combat, as well as their shooting attack. You have really great close combat with your Jakara, as well as your Malcadon, as well as your Huntmaster. And you have your one Yeld guy that can fire with missile gauntlets, but that's really about it. You only got the one long-range shooter, and you only got 250 credits to work with when you get to the down phase. So I think hiring a second Yeld would probably be the best thing for you, so that way you could actually do an equal amount of shooting and close combat that way. Now, of course, if you want to, you could also get a Caryatid Prime if you want to, because they're good for keeping your fighters survivable by giving them a ward save to keep them a little bit longer for a little bit longer. Also, you recommend getting a Bio Booster as well. They also really helps you out with re-rolling injury dice. That could be really critical to keeping your fighters on the battlefield. And of course, if you really want to, you could also recruit Lady Hera and her Spyre Hunter rig, and since she's a house agent, it'd be a good possibility to include her in your gang as well, so that way you have like 7 Spyre Hunters in your gang, which could be really, really awesome. So in conclusion, like I said before, the Spyrer Hunting Party is a very elite, very hard-hitting unit, but at the same time kind of fragile, because the moment you lose a fighter, you're taking ball tests, so you do have to worry about that as well. This gang also has some very interesting game mechanics with their rigs leveling up with the kills that you get, as well as the glitches you get if you take sustained injuries, which is kind of neat. Plus, these guys have very distinct fighting styles, and they have very unique ways of handling situations, and in my opinion, it's a lot of fun to play this gang. Playing against these guys back in the early 90s, when I was playing in Necromunda, was a lot of fun to have those guys back then, also to play them back during that time period as well, and I'm really super excited to actually have these guys participate in the current edition of Necromunda as well. Now, my only word of warning, of course, is to watch it for the balance bandwagon. They always freak out when stuff like this pops up. They did exactly the same thing with Corpse Grinder cults, until we figured out how to defeat those guys with blast template weapons. So just watch out for that. If they do bring those issues up, just tell them either, hey, you can either play or you can go away and not deal with their nonsense. So there you guys have it. That's going to do with this one. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this one, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.